Okay, so picture the scene. It's that montage you've seen in, I don't know, 1,000 romantic
Oh, I
comedies.
know this one.
The bride, she walks into this, like, pristine white boutique. She's sipping champagne, laughing with her friends. She pulls one dress off the rack, steps into it.
Zips up perfectly.
It zips up perfectly. She cries a single, very aesthetic tear, and everyone just applauds. Roll credits.
It's a beautiful image. It really is. It's magical. And honestly, it is completely 100% disconnected from reality.
I knew it,
Okay.
because whenever I hear the real stories about wedding dress shopping, it sounds less like a spa day and more like a tactical military operation.
That's actually a much, much better analogy. It's a logistical beast. We're talking about global supply chains, manufacturing lead times that, defy modern logic,
Right.
and a minefield of social etiquette that nobody warns you about until you're, well, standing on a pedestal in your underwear.
And that is exactly why we are here today. We are doing a deep dive into the bridal appointment experience. We are not just talking about how to pick a pretty dress.
No.
We are going to decode the timeline, the psychology of the entourage, and all the hidden mechanics of how a dress actually gets from a sketch to the aisle.
Right. We want to bridge that gap between the movie montage and the actual, the real process. And to do that, we've analyzed a whole stack of resources from Darianna Bridal and Tuxedo.
Okay.
They're a family-owned staple in Warrington, Pennsylvania, and they have this reputation for being pressure-free, which, as we're about to find out, is surprisingly rare in this industry.
So the mission today is simple. We want you to feel like an industry insider before you even unlock your phone to look at Pinterest. And we have to start with the biggest hurdle, the thing that catches almost everyone off guard.
The timeline. It is the #1 source of stress for brides, period.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I read the brief, and I have to push back immediately. The Darianna Guide says you need to start shopping 9 to 12 months before the wedding.
Correct. 9 to 12 months.
That feels excessive. I mean, I can order a custom sofa in 6 weeks. I can buy a car and drive it off the lot in an afternoon. Why is the bridal industry operating on a timeline that feels like it's from, I don't know, the 1800s?
Right.
Is this just a sales tactic to create panic?
That's such a common reaction. Oh, they just want to lock me in early. But the reality is it's not about sales pressure. It's all about manufacturing logistics. You have to understand that most bridal shops do not operate like, say, The Gap.
So there isn't some warehouse in the back with stacks of these dresses in every size.
No, that is the single biggest misconception. Bridal shops operate on what's called a made-to-order model.
Okay, define that for us. Is that the same thing as custom made?
Ah, good question. Distinctive difference. Custom means they design it for you from scratch. A whole new pattern, new concept. Made to order means the design exists, the pattern exists, but the physical dress does not exist yet.
Not at all.
Not at all. When you pay your deposit at the shop, you aren't buying a dress off a shelf. You are essentially funding the creation of that single unit.
So until I swipe my card, my dress is just, what, a roll of fabric somewhere.
Exactly. The order goes to the designer, who then sends it to a factory, which is often overseas. The fabric has to be cut specifically for your order. And remember, we aren't talking about cotton T-shirts that can be, speed run through a machine.
Right, this is lace beading tool.
Hand-beaded lace, layers upon layers of structure. The construction phase alone is so labor-intensive. Then, once it's built, it has to go through quality control, get packed, shipped internationally, clear customs, which is a whole other variable, and finally arrive at the boutique.
Okay, so that explains the 4 months for shipping that they mention. But the guide said start 12 months out. Where does the rest of that time go?
Alterations. This is the other huge piece people forget. When the dress arrives, it is not ready to wear. It's a standard size that's closest to your measurements, but it's not your shape yet.
I always just assumed alterations meant, hemming the bottom so I don't trip over it.
Oh, it is so much more than that. A wedding dress has to be sculpted to your body. They're taking in the waist, lifting the shoulders, adjusting the bust cups, adding a bustle for the train.
But structural engineering.
It is. And because the materials are so delicate, you can't rush it. You usually need 3 distinct fittings spaced out over about 2 months.
So if you order 6 months out and shipping takes 4 months and alterations take 2 months, you're literally picking up the dress on the morning of your wedding.
Which is a level of stress nobody needs. Hence, the 9 to 12-month rule. It just buys you a buffer.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. What if we have a listener who is getting married in, say, 3 months? Are they just out of luck? Do they have to wear a sheet?
Thankfully, no. There is a loophole, and Darianna mentions it specifically. It's called off the rack.
Which means buying the sample dress.
Correct. You walk into the store, you try on the dress that's hanging there, and if you love it, you buy that specific physical dress. You take it home that day.
But then you're limited to exactly what they have in the store, right? I mean, if the sample's a size 12 and you're a size 6, can you still even do that?
You can, but you're banking heavily on the skill of your seamstress to size it down that much. And if the sample is damaged or dirty from being tried on, well, that's on you to fix. So off the rack is a lifesaver for short timelines, but it definitely requires some flexibility.
Got it. Okay, so timeline is key. Now, let's move to the prep work. Because apparently a good appointment starts way before you even walk in the door.
It does. It starts with the stylist doing their homework. At a place like Darianna, the stylists are actually reviewing your file before they even meet you.
I love this detail. They aren't just looking at your budget, they're looking at your venue. And I was wondering, why does the venue matter so much? A dress is a dress, right? If I look good in it, who cares where the party is?
You would think so, but from a stylist perspective, the venue is a blueprint for physics constraints.
Physics constraint.
Oh yeah, think about it. Let's look at that wedding dress quiz Darianna provides. It segments styles by vibe grand ballroom versus a rustic barn versus a beach.
Okay, so if I'm getting married in a barn, I probably want something boho.
Right, but why? It's not just because it looks cute on Instagram, it's functional. Right. If you choose a heavy satin ball gown with a 10-foot cathedral train for a barn wedding, you are going to be dragging expensive, heavy fabric through hay and dirt and splintered wood.
Oh, I don't even think about the hay. You'd be a walking broom.
Exactly. You're going to be snagged, dirty, and physically exhausted from hauling all that weight around. So for a barn, a stylist will pull tulle or lace fabrics that are lighter, more forgiving. If you're getting married in a modern art gallery, they might pull crepe.
Crepe, that's that smooth, sleek fabric.
Yes, it's clean, architectural, very sophisticated, but it also shows every single curve. It fits the venue's vibe, but it also fits the climate-controlled, smooth floors, no obstacles. They're matching the engineering of the dress to the environment of the event.
That makes so much sense. It's practical, not just aesthetic. Speaking of practical, let's talk about the physical survival tips for the bride herself.
Yes, the don't pass out advice.
It sounds so basic, but the guide is emphatic. Do not shop on an empty stomach.
It's the #1 mistake. People think, oh, I want a flat stomach for trying on dresses so I won't eat. Huge error.
Because it's a workout, right?
It is physically demanding. You are stepping in and out of heavy gowns. Some of these weigh 10, 15 pounds. You're standing on a pedestal, twisting, turning, lifting your arms for 90 minutes. If your blood sugar crashes, you get hangry, you get tired, and you stop making good decisions.
Nobody wants a hangry bride.
Yeah.
Okay, what about underneath the dress? I feel like there's this pressure to buy $300 worth of shapewear and the perfect strapless bra before you even go shopping.
And that is a myth the experts really want to bust. The source says a strapless bra is actually optional and often discouraged.
Discouraged, really?
Most high-quality bridal gowns have incredible internal structure boning, cups, corsetry built right into the lining. They are designed to support you better than a Victoria's Secret bra ever could. Often, wearing a bra underneath just adds bulk, or it creates lines, or it just fights against the dress's own structure.
So you can just go free.
You can. But if you're modest, or if it helps you visualize the final look, sure, wear one, but don't stress about it. The one thing you should bring, though.
What's that?
A hair tie.
A hair tie? That seems so random.
It's crucial. If you have long hair and you're trying on a dress with, say, an illusion back or buttons down the spine or a specific neckline, you need to be able to get your hair off your neck to actually see the silhouette. It changes the whole look.
Smart. Okay, so we're fed, we're hydrated, we've got our hair tie. Now we have to decide who comes with us. The dreaded entourage.
Ah, yes. This is where the psychology of the appointment really, really kicks in.
Now, I have to be honest. If I'm getting married, I want the party. I want the champagne. I want my mom, my sisters, my 3 best friends, my future mother-in-law so she doesn't feel left out. I want the hype squad. Why does Darianna advise limiting it to just 4 people? That feels like they're killing the vibe.
It's not about capping the fun, it's about capping the variables. The source material is very blunt about this. More people usually means more talking and less time trying on gowns.
Because everyone has to give a big speech about every single dress.
Precisely. If you have 8 people, and every time you walk out you have to wait for 8 people to give their critique, you are burning through your 90-minute appointment. But there's a deeper psychological layer here. It's known as choice overload or decision fatigue.
Okay, break that down.
Imagine you put on a dress, you look in the mirror in the fitting room, and you feel a spark. You like it. You feel beautiful. Then you walk out to a committee of 8 people.
And Aunt Linda thinks it's too revealing, and your sister hates lace, and your friend is just on her phone texting.
Exactly. Suddenly, that internal spark is just drowned out by the noise of the committee. And the expert insight here is profound. Opinions are fine, but don't say yes to someone else's dress.
Oof.
The more voices you have in the room, the harder it is to hear your own intuition. You start shopping to please the audience, not to please yourself.
That's a really good point. You end up picking the dress that gets the most applause, not the one you actually love.
Correct. So curate your guest list. Bring the people who are going to uplift you, not just the people who expect an invite.
Okay, let's walk through the actual appointment. We've arrived at Darianna Bridal and Tuxedo. What's the vibe?
It depends on the day. And this is a great tip for listeners. If you want high energy, crowds, and that bustling say yes to the dress kind of excitement, go on a weekend. Saturday is showtime.
But if I'm an introvert,
Go on a weekday. It's quieter, more intimate, and you'll get more personalized attention without all the background noise.
so the appointment is 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
How does the selection process work? Do I just run through the aisles grabbing things I like?
It's a hybrid approach. You get to pick dresses you like, and they emphasize sticking to your budget here, but the stylist is also pulling dresses for you. And this leads to my favorite concept in the source material, the wild card.
The wild card. It sounds a little risky.
It's the dress the stylist pulls that you would never, ever pick for yourself. You might look at it on the hanger and think, that is ugly, or that is so not me.
And usually I'd trust my gut on that. Why should I trust a stranger?
Because that stranger sees these dresses on human bodies every single day. They know that a dress that looks like a limp rag on a plastic hanger might completely transform when it hits curves. The source notes that brides are so often pleasantly surprised by these expert picks.
So the advice is, humor the stylist.
Just try it on. Worst case scenario, you laugh and take it off. Best case, it's the one.
And when you find the one, what happens then?
Then come the rituals. At Darianna, it's a big cheer, the hugs, the photos. They even have this unique tradition where the bride gets to sign out her dress. It's a physical dress at the shop that's just covered in signatures of past brides.
That is really sweet. It's like leaving your mark on the history of the shop.
It is, but before we get too swept up in the emotion, we have to talk about the fine print, because there is a moment in every appointment where the music stops and reality hits.
You mean when the measuring tape comes out?
Exactly. We have to talk about sizing shock.
I have heard horror stories about this.
Yeah.
You wear a size 8 in jeans, you feel good about yourself, and then the bridal shop tells you to order a 14.
Or a 16. It is incredibly common, and it can be devastating if you aren't prepared for it. But the deep dive insight here is that this isn't about you. It's about history.
What do you mean by that?
Bridal sizing charts are often based on patterns from the 1940s and 50s.
So this is before vanity sizing existed.
Exactly. Modern street clothes, your GAP jeans, your Lululemon leggings, they've evolved their sizing to flatter our egos. A size 8 today is much bigger than a size 8 was in 1950. But bridal manufacturers, they just never updated the charts.
So the dress is technically a vintage size.
Correct. And the guide emphasizes this so heavily. Do not fixate on the number. It is just a coordinate on a manufacturing chart to tell them how much fabric to cut. It is not a judgment on your body or your beauty.
Okay, so we swallow our pride on the number, but that leads to a pretty scary financial reality. If they're ordering a size 14 and I sign that contract, I'm stuck with it, right?
You are. And that brings us to the final sale clause. This is the part of the source material that is bolded and underlined. There are no takebacks in bridal.
Even if the wedding is called off, even if I wake up the next morning and realize I hate lace,
No cancellations, no refunds.
that feels harsh. Why is it so strict?
It goes right back to that made-to-order model we discussed at the start. The moment you place that order, the shop is contractually obligated to pay the designer. They're bonding the fabric. The wheels are turning. The shop can't cancel on the designer, so you can't cancel on the shop.
This really circles back to that pressure-free philosophy that Darianna talks about.
It connects everything. The reason you want a pressure-free environment isn't just because it's nicer or friendlier. It's because the financial commitment is irreversible. If a salesperson pushes you to buy a dress you're only 80% sure about just to hit their commission quota, they are leading you into a potentially disastrous financial mistake. You need to be 100% sure before you sign that paper.
That is such a crucial insight. It's not just about customer service, it's about financial safety.
Precisely.
So we've talked a lot about Darianna Bridal and Tuxedo as our source today. Let's just take a minute to contextualize who they are. Because in an industry that can feel very corporate or, transactional,
Yeah.
they seem to have a different flavor.
They do. It's a family business through and through. Founded in 2013 by Franco and Wendy Salerno, and the name Darianna is actually a combination of their daughters' names, Daria and Diana.
I love that. And they aren't just some small local shop flying under the radar. They've got some serious hardware.
Oh, yeah. They were named a top 100 small business in America by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in 2024. They've been featured on ABC National News, TLC's Say Yes, Wedding SOS, and even The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
Stephen Colbert. That's wild.
It establishes their authority. But more than the awards, it's their mission statement that really aligns with all the advice we've analyzed today. Their whole goal is an honest, kind, and family-oriented business.
And that honesty shows up in the advice. I mean, telling people not to bring 12 guests isn't what you say if you just want a chaotic party atmosphere. It's what you say if you want the bride to actually have a successful appointment.
Exactly. They prioritize the outcome over the hype.
So let's recap. We've covered a lot of ground. If you are planning to go dress shopping, what are the big takeaways to keep in your pocket?
Okay, first, respect the supply chain. Start 9 to 12 months early so you aren't fighting against manufacturing logistics and paying those awful rush fees.
Exactly.
Contextualize your prep. Understand that your venue dictates your fabric and your body needs fuel. Eat breakfast.
And third,
Manage the committee. Keep your entourage small to protect your own decision-making power.
I love it. Now, before we let everyone go, we always like to leave you with a thought to chew on, something that wasn't explicitly in the bullet points but was kind of hovering in the background.
The source material briefly mentions this concept of dress regret, and it connects directly to that advice. Opinions are fine, but don't say yes to someone else's dress.
That is a scary phrase, dress regret.
It is, and it raises a really provocative question for anyone stepping into this tradition. In a process that is so heavily influenced by what your mother wants, what your friends like, what tradition dictates, and what Instagram says is trendy, how do you ensure the choice remains truly yours?
Is the ultimate challenge, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, you're the one standing at the altar, not your Pinterest board.
Exactly. Trust your gut.
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope your appointment is magical, logistical, and completely regret-free.
Happy shopping!
See you next time.